Hello everyone, welcome to the Ozark Outpost. This is Global War 85, Operation Escobar, NATO 7.2. One bit of housekeeping from the Warsaw Pact turn: they forgot a non-combat movement. The two missile patrol boats moved from A40 to A39. Okay. No more escalations because they're at war now, DEFCON 2, full income. Tech, PGM, long-range missiles, advanced sonar. PGM, yes, the other two, no, and that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But they're on the board with stage 1 of PGM. All right. Actually, well, I'll get them. I forgot to get those out. I'll do it later. There's nothing to repair. Detect. No global operations. For the purposes of this game, we have decided to move Alliance nuclear release. I think I explained this before. From the beginning of the calendar turn to its old spot in strategic warfare phase for each individual. So NATO has 6 battlefield nuke release dice. They get, let's get the new release rules out here so I make sure I say this right. Okay, there's no VP deficit, so they don't get anything extra for that. Alliance, home country, land zone, enemy possessed, +1 each. So it's no longer by IPP, now it's just +1 per zone. So that's 1 for Canary Islands, 2 for Azores, 3 for Portugal, 4 for Extremadura, 5 for Greece. Where was the 6th one at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, apparently I've miscounted. It's not 6, it's only 5. 5 dice. Put one of those back. Okay, so 5 dice for battlefield nuke release. And a lone 12 is enough to do the job. So NATO is released. Now the release is still done at Alliance level. So they are released for battlefield nukes against both Warsaw Pact. Put that over there in the right spot. Against Warsaw Pact and the Soviets. And that means they get to have 3 self-propelled artillery to place on the board right now using normal placement rules. So I think These 3 self-propelled are going to go in Rhineland. So they will go over here on this card. Oh, this is Alliance release. That's right. So the Americans are now also released for battlefield nukes against Warsaw Pact and the Soviets. Yes, they are. Alliance release. Okay, there we are. Now that's fixed. Now I would guess the Americans would place their reserve units on their turn. Oh, this means we redo the buy. That is still, yeah. Since they are released, NATO goes to DEFCON 1 and they get a discount on their buy, so I've got to refigure all this. Be right back. Okay, I've recalculated the build. And we're ready to go now. So we have 11 being spent on 2 MBTs and a fighter, 4 on a SAM and 4 on a SAM and 2 paramilitary, 6 finishing the cruiser from the build chart and building the destroyer, and then from the expeditionary box they still had a Marine and an airborne to place, building 5 cruise missiles, 3 anti-ship missiles. Okay, combat movement. Now, as I said during tech rolling, that not getting advanced sonar was a very bad thing, because without it, NATO cannot attack that Warsaw Pact SSN, defending alone. Under another rules change we've implemented on the fly here, destroyers and frigates begin the game with passive sonar, which, lets them negate first strike of one enemy submarine. In order to get sub detection and pairing, you have to complete advanced sonar. So, as I said, without it, they can't attack him. So, the combat movement here then is going to be, well, technically it's going to be everybody but this frigate. It's going to move over there to A40. They're going to get out into the Atlantic proper, just in case Warsaw Pact is able to capture Gibraltar. They don't get trapped in the Med, where they would be utterly useless. So now that they've combat moved out here, and well, yeah, they are. The cruiser and the destroyer are each going to shoot a cruise missile 1 into Extremadura. The attack bomber from the carrier is going into Extremadura on a surgical strike, escorted by the 2 ASFs also from the carrier. spy satellite support, so the attack bomber will be attacking at full value. And then the strategic bomber from southern France flies to Catalonia and shoots 2 more cruise missiles into Extremadura for a total of 4. This started out as just 2 cruise missiles because I didn't know how that die roll was going to go. But now, since they can't attack the sub, full cruise missile attack. So they was using 2, now they're using 2 more. That leaves it. Okay. So there's that surgical strike on Extremadura. And then we go up here to the north. These Soviet SSNs here in A5 knocking on the door of the GIUK, they just offend NATO to no end. So the diesel boat in A5 is attacking. The boat from A8 comes to attack. The boat from A7 comes to attack. The boat from A10, 1-2, comes to attack. The SSN from A6 comes to attack. He goes back there. The destroyer and the 2 frigates cannot attack these subs, but they can combat move up here to negate their first strike. So now the NATO subs have first strike, the Soviets do not. And I realized when I was getting ready for this turn, I completely forgot the SR-71 again in the defense of either Greece or Extremadura, one of the 2. And that will be it. I think that'll be it for combat movement. What do you say? Let's have a look here. Yeah, that's going to be it for combat movement this time around. So, let's turn this way. Get the auxiliary tray over here. Okay, we have 1, 2. We have 4 NATO diesel boats in first strike. And there is 1 hit. And then we have a NATO SSN in first strike. And there is a 2nd hit. So those 2 Soviet SSNs are going to fire back, and the 3rd is going to go on silent run. So 2 Soviet SSNs. Oh no, they don't get to shoot back. Those are first strike kills. They're gone. What am I thinking? Yeah, the lone remaining guys definitely going on silent run. Okay, so there's the situation there. Now that will be 2 naval battle stars for NATO. 2. Naval. All right, now we will have, let's see. Boy, what do you do about that? Well, that Soviet has to decide whether or not he's going to, or the Warsaw Pact SSN has to decide whether or not he's going to try to stop NATO's combat movement, and that would be foolish, because if he did that, he would be shooting at them and they would get to shoot back at him. So he is opting for silent running rather than challenging NATO coming in there against him. That's how we resolve that. All right, Warsaw Pact has completed AMD. So they are going to use their SAM for missile defense rather than air defense. So here's 3 AMD shots. 1 hit, 3 missiles get through. Three missiles get through for 2 hits, one of which is a land target select. Any one in a surgical strike is automatically a land target select. And then the attack bomber rolls in. Warsaw Pact decided not to scramble its EGF against 2 ASFs. I should have mentioned that. Attack bomber missed. So we have 1 land target select and 1 general hit. So bring the camera over here. The land target select, naturally NATO is going to put on an MBT. And then these guys come off here. They are going to choose a field artillery for the general hit. Okay, there's that. They did not reach the threshold for a Battlestar. Okay, so now it's non-combat movement. The frigate comes through the Strait of Gibraltar to join the rest of the fleet. The planes fly back to the carrier. Strategic bomber goes back to southern France. The paramilitary and the SAM from northwest Spain are going to pull back to Catalonia. The 2 mechs from southern France are going to move up to Catalonia. The amphibious assault ship in A6 goes into port there at Scotland. In port, there we are. The rest of the fleet comes up to join for fleet integrity. There's that. The ASF from southern England is going to fly 1, 2, 3. Over here to Rhineland. And under the new range rules, since he did not do any combat movement, in non-combat movement, he gets double his radius, which would give him a non-combat range of 4. And he went 1, 2, 3. The Sam from Rhineland comes up to northern Germany. Let's see. The Stealth from southern England is going to fly 1, 2 to Picardy. The Attack Bomber. The Attack Bomber is also going to fly over to Picardy. This Sam will shift down to southern England from Midlands. And I think that'll do it for non-combat. Okay, placing units. All right, the Marine from the Expeditionary Box is going to join his buddy there in the Midlands. The Sam is built in Rhineland as a replacement. Southern France gets 2 MBTs and a fighter. Gibraltar gets 2 more paramilitary. And no, actually he doesn't. I changed my mind about that. The Airborne being placed down here in French Guiana to give them a little bit of garrison strength. And then the cruiser and the destroyer are being built at the minor shipyard here in M10. Bolstering the NATO Black Sea Fleet. Okay, that's units placed. Yeah, units placed. So money. 53 is where NATO is. They don't get any wartime bonus. There's 53 plus the one they saved makes 54. And they got 3 battle stars in the bank. And then their missile production. So that's 3, 4, 5 added on to the one they had left, and then a green added to their anti-ship missiles. There we go. Ozark Outpost. Over and out.